Hi everyone and welcome to Arc Raiders. In this video I'll show you an easy way to complete each quest in the game so far. The name of the current quest will always be shown at the top of the video and you can use chapters in the description to jump directly to the quest you need. So let's go. The very first quest, called Picking Up the Pieces, is impossible to miss or avoid, as it gets assigned to you automatically as soon as you finish the tutorial. It's also very hard to not complete it if you play the game at all, so I don't expect anyone to have trouble with it, but I've been wrong before, so here we go. Your first assignment here is to visit any area on the map with a loot category icon on it, which basically means arrive to any of the POIs at all, and it checks for you and opens the second objective, loot 3 containers. This doesn't have to be done in the same POI or even in the same round at all. So if you are as lucky as I am and get killed by a rat upon opening the very first door, don't worry, you can complete the quest with any 3 containers in your subsequent run. Killed Arc machines and murdered players do not count for containers, so you gotta find something stationary to loot. As a reward, you get an upgraded Rattler gun and a stack of medium ammo for it. Completing the first mission opens up the Trash into Treasure quest, where you need to obtain 6 wires and 1 battery. Not sure about the treasure here, but both of the items are extremely common and can be looted in large quantities virtually anywhere, with areas marked as electrical or technological having higher concentrations. You can also break down other loot to get the required items. Almost anything electrical yields wires when recycled, and many items like broken flashlight or portable TV recycle into batteries as well. For those who absolutely cannot be bothered collecting this stuff on the map, both wires and batteries can be bought from Celeste using assorted seeds. Regardless of how you obtain the items, as soon as you have them in your inventory, the mission is complete and can be claimed, getting you 3 adrenaline shots and a green tactical loadout augment. Your next quest, Clearer Skies, requires you to kill 3 Arc machines and get 3 pieces of Arc alloy for Shani. What or how you kill for this doesn't matter, but since it's probably one of the very early runs for you, it might be prudent to choose easier targets. Inside larger structures on any of the maps, you can usually find plenty of pops and fireballs, as well as occasional turrets and ticks. Ticks are really easy to kill with your hammer, and the rest you'll normally want to shoot. If you go for the flying enemies, you may want to make sure you have a bit of cover. Dodging multiple flyers in the open carries serious risks for your health and may attract unwanted attention from other hostile parties. Remember, the heavy ammo works best on Arc. Medium is really good too, but light ammo has really weak penetration against Arc and should rather be reserved for 2-legged competitors. Most of the Arc, when killed, drop alloy itself, and almost anything else that drops from them can be recycled into alloy when needed. But you can also obtain tons of alloy in a peaceful way by scavenging the various husks on any of the maps. Get your 3 kills, bring 3 alloy to Shani, and you can claim 3 sterile bandages, a light shield and a backpack cosmetic. For the Off the Radar quest, you'll have to engage in some unlicensed repair job on one of the field depots. The image on the quest page actually shows exactly how a field depot looks, but judging by the number of people asking where do I find a depot on the launch day, nobody really looks at the pictures anyway. So, the field depot is a small trailer-like structure with a tall satellite dish antenna on top of it and a blue rack hanging off the roof. There's plenty of them spread around each of the maps, with at least 6 I know of on the damn battlegrounds. They also show up on your map when you are within about 100 meters from them, but being as close you can usually see one yourself anyway. Once you located a depot you like, use a ladder on its side to get up top and you'll see an interact prompt to repair the antenna. Judging by the shrieking sound going off during your repairs, Shani might have been better off sending somebody more qualified, but hell, courage and incompetence is my motto, so I proceed anyway. With the job done, you can celebrate your success by launching a radar flare that you got in the beginning of the quest. It may very well attract a few people wishing to congratulate you. Whether you'll enjoy their cheers is a different matter though. A reward for the quest is 2 defibrillators, which are an extremely valuable tool. The 5th quest, A Bad Feeling, requires you to find and search an Arc probe or courier. Couriers are diamond-ish shaped machines that seem to have a ton of navigation issues, so you find them crashed into the ground all over every map. Broken down carriers and probes emit a thick black smoke, kinda like a 15 years old diesel Volkswagen, and can also be seen on the map once you are within 50 meters from them. Probes also emit a very distinct sound like this. Breaking into the courier is no different to any other locked container, while probes make a lot of very loud noise, which attracts any arc in the vicinity, so check the skies before breaching. Intact probes have 3 searchable containers on them and usually have pretty decent arc loot, while broken ones only have a single searchable area and the loot is much worse. As soon as you search either a courier or a probe, the quest completes and you can claim some crafting materials as a reward, as well as open 3 additional quests. Once you've completed the Bad Feelings quest, you get access to 3 more quests at once, and one of them is called the Right Tool. To complete the quest, you'll need to kill a fireball, a turret and a hornet anywhere topside. To aid you in the task, you are given a fully upgraded Pharaoh and some heavy ammo, but kills with any weapons will count for this. 2 of the enemies you need to kill, fireballs and turrets, are found inside buildings and you can usually find them together or very close to each other. Fireballs are ball-shaped enemies that try to incinerate you if you let them get close. They are not to be confused with pops, however, which are the rolling suicide bomber variant. Basically, the ones with headlights are fireballs, the ones with skirts are pops. Fireballs go down from a single hit with a ferrule or an anvil, but are pretty resilient to light ammo fire, so bring something on the heavy side for them. Turrets are stationary enemies that can be attached to walls or ceilings. They are pretty dumb and lose aggro really fast, but they will shred you if you choose to stay in their line of fire for some reason. 2 heavy hits or 2 light grenades will kill a turret with no problem. This only leaves a hornet. Hornets are one of the 2 aggressive small flying arcs and you can recognize them by the armor on their front thrusters. They can be found everywhere outside, patrolling areas or exfil points, and are often flying in pairs or teamed up with wasps. Hornets are very keen on using their tasers and can be extremely menacing if they catch you in the open. So, before engaging one, find yourself some cover. Luckily, their shots are very predictable and they're not very hard to dodge. Out of all the smaller enemies, hornets have the toughest armor, so light ammo doesn't work well on them. The fastest way to kill one is to shoot off their unprotected rear thrusters, but if you are struggling landing those shots, you can just shoot the armor of the front thrusters and killing goes much easier then. Once you got all 3 kills, head back to Speranza to pick up a Stitcher and some ammo as a reward and unlock a Better Use quest. Once you've completed the Bad Feelings quest, you get access to 3 more quests at once, and one of them is called the Safe Passage. The quest requires you to kill 2 arc enemies using explosives, which may sound quite frustrating but is actually not hard at all. The easiest way to complete this quest is to find yourself a turret. Since it cannot really run away, you can soften it up with your gun and then finish it off with a single grenade. Or chuck 2 light grenades at it and it will go down. Another great candidate for the quest is a tick, the little spider-like arc commonly found in long corridors and dark rooms. The key here is to notice one before it jumps at you and then throw a grenade at it. They die right away from the blast. Whichever you've chosen, do it twice and the quest is complete. Then head over to Apollo to grab a bunch of grenades and barricade kits as a reward and unlock What Goes Around quest. Once you've completed the Bad Feelings quest, you get access to 3 more quests at once, and one of them is called the Hatch Repairs. The quest is extremely easy. All you need to do is to get to any of the radar hatches on any of the maps. Look for this icon and you'll see there's plenty of them everywhere. Once arrived at the location, look for a small pipe at the back side of the hatch and interact with it to perform repairs. The quest itself is complete at this point, but you can also look around for a small item with another yellow interact prompt and pick up a free hatch key from it as an extra reward for the plumbing services. The location of the item will vary depending on which hatch you repair, and I actually missed it every time myself, but it will be literally within 5 meters from the hatch. Once back at Speranza, claim another hatch key and binoculars as a reward and unlock the Down to Earth quest. The quest called What Goes Around has been a source of frustration for quite a few people, but it's actually much easier than it seems. So, what you're required to do here is to kill an arc using the Fireball burner. Really, the hardest part here is just finding a burner. If you don't happen to have one in the stash, you'll have to visit some of the buildings where fireballs spawn, like Research and Admin, Testing Annex, Water Treatment or Hydroponic Dome. There's more fireballs on other maps, but the dam is generally much safer. You also don't even have to kill the fireball yourself. A lot of times other players don't bother looting them, so you have a reasonably good chance to pick up the burner off someone else's kill. Once you have a burner, equip it into your quick use and find yourself a turret. The reason turrets are the best for this quest is simple. They don't run away, so it's really hard to miss them. Soften the turret up by shooting it with your gun, just don't kill it yet. Then throw a burner. The fire damage from the burner is applied over time, so it will take a few seconds for the turret to die, but once that happens, the quest is complete. Upon your return to Speranza, report back to Apollo, grab your reward and unlock the Sparks Fly quest. Down to Earth quest takes you back to the field depot, but this time you need to deliver a field crate to it and collect your reward. There are many field depots on each of the maps, but the easiest two for this particular quest are water towers and swamp depots on dam battlegrounds. Both are reasonably safe in terms of other players' interference, have really low arc density around and have the crates in easy to find locations, so I highly recommend doing this. In water towers, there is almost always one or even two field crates in one of the towers, and in the rare case that none spawns there, you can almost always find another crate up in the electrical substation nearby. In the swamp case, look for a crate in South Swamp Outpost. Once you found one, carry it all the way to the field depot and insert it into the receiver. You'll see two lights turn green on the dispenser case to the right, indicating that your reward is ready to be looted. As soon as you search the container, the quest is complete and you can grab a combat augment and a medium shield from Shani back in Speranza. A better use quest requires you to call and loot a supply drop. Supply call stations can be a little bit annoying to find since each of them has multiple possible spawn locations and neither spawn is guaranteed. I do, however, find a few of them being a bit more reliable and also safer to use than others. Namely, spawns near the central swamp lift, near Testing Annex and by the Red Lake below the pipeline tower. Each of the supply stations can only be used once per round, and you can check whether it's still active by looking at the light at its top. This also makes supply stations very easily visible during night raids, but then night raids are much more dangerous on their own, so it's a big question whether it's worth attempting it there. You can also see a supply station icon on your map when you are within 50 meters of it. So, once you've found an operational supply station, interact with it. This launches a flare-up, very similar to a radar flare, but supply call explodes like a firework after a bit. Shortly after the explosion, a supply container is dropped into the area nearby. Locate the container and breach it to reach its content. As soon as you perform a search, the quest is complete, and you can claim a set of weapons attachments from Tien Wen back in Speranza, as well as unlock your next quest. The Sparks Fly quest follows the logic of What Goes Around and requires you to kill a hornet using a snap blast grenade or a trigger grenade. You receive plenty of both when you accept the quest, so there's no need to worry about finding them. Apollo also sells snap blast grenades if you have to replenish your supply for any reason. Both grenade types that can be used for this quest stick to arc enemies, so which one to use is completely up to you. Trigger grenades do slightly more damage, but neither grenade is enough to kill a full health hornet in one hit, so the difference is really absolutely minimal. In order to complete the quest as easy as possible and avoid chasing a flying enemy in the open, engage a hornet from any structure that has a door frame that you can use. Then, shoot a hornet until it's visibly hurt and is preferably on fire, since both grenades hit for less than 50% of hornet's health. Once you achieve that, simply wait for the hornet to peek into the doorframe and stick it with your preferred type of grenade. Unless you miss a throw, the explosion should kill a hornet and complete the quest for you. just in case, probably take more than one grenade with. Once back in Speranza, hand over the quest to Apollo and receive some crafting components and a blueprint for 3 grenades. The Trifecta quest requires you to prove yourself to Shani by killing 2 wasps, 2 hornets and 2 snitches and bringing a pair of each of their internals back. This can be done on any map and in any order. I would normally recommend starting with the snitch though, since it's not only the most annoying of the 3, but also it calls in both other types if you don't kill it fast enough. The snitches can be usually seen from pretty far away, since they fly up high and emit blue scanning light below them. The snitch has 3 thrusters that keep it in the air, so destroying 2 of them kills it. Heavy ammo is the best tool against snitches, but medium works reasonably well too. Shooting a snitch with a light ammo should normally be seen as a last resort if you missed all of your main weapon shots and need to finish it off before it escapes. Make sure to loot the snitch afterwards, since you need to bring 2 of their scanners back to Shani and you also need 6 of them to upgrade your utility station. Chances are that by the time you've dealt with snitches, you've already completed wasps and hornets anyway, since they are everywhere. In case you somehow manage to not meet any of them, you can go to any active exfil and you'll likely find a bunch of them patrolling the area. Alternatively, just shoot a snitch and let it escape. It will call in reinforcements, usually consisting of both required types of arc. Wasps are the easiest of flying enemies. They have very low health and no armor, so can be taken down with any weapon and ammo type. As is true for all flyers, thrusters are their weak spot, and shooting off 2 results in a kill. Hornets are familiar to you from previous quests and are much tougher thanks to a higher health pool and armor on the front thrusters. They can easily be killed by either precision shots at their unprotected rear thrusters or by shooting off the front armor first. Heavy ammo is by far the most effective tool against them. Once you've collected required kills and parts, hand over the quest back to Shani and receive a Raider Hatch key, 2 defibs and a Dam Control Tower key, which is the best key on the Dam Battlegrounds map. Greasing Her Palms quest is the first mission with objectives spread over 3 different maps. We'll start with the Dam Battlegrounds, where you need to visit a locked room in water treatment. You can, however, complete all objectives in any order. The door in question can be found by entering the water treatment from the south, then turning right at the reception and then turning right again at the end of the short corridor. The door requires a Dam surveillance key to unlock it, and you receive one of these when you accept the quest. If you manage to lose the key somehow, don't panic. The key is relatively common and a lot of people have it. Quite often, especially closer to the end of the round, you'll find the door open by someone else. The quest objective checks once you enter the room, regardless of who opened it. Obviously, if you got it with your own key, the loot in the room is all yours. The next objective is on the spaceport map, where you need to scope out rocket thrusters by the rocket assembly. The area you need is right in front of the rocket assembly, with a bunch of large thrusters scattered in the open. You used to have to walk to a very specific spot to get the objective pop-up, but an update just now has added more spots for this mission, so you should be able to get it by walking up to any of the thrusters there. If you're struggling to get it to work though, go to the exact spot where I am and it should work. The last objective brings you over to Buried City. Your path lies to the space travel building, where you need to get into the barricaded area on the 6th floor. In order to do it, enter the building through any of the accessible windows and make your way to a zipline that takes you onto the roof. Or you can get straight on the roof using a zipline if you have one to spare. From there, walk over to the roof entrance on the northern part of the space travel building. Run down 1 flight of stairs to arrive on 6th floor. Walk down the corridor into the open area and you'll see the pop-up that the objective is complete. Once all 3 objectives are complete, hand the quest over to Celeste to receive a lure grenade blueprint and crafting materials. The Doctor's Orders quest is a classical looting mission where you need to find a bunch of medical supplies, a syringe, 2 bottles of antiseptic, a durable cloth, and 1 great mullein. How you obtain them doesn't matter for the quest completion, so as long as you have the items in your inventory, you can claim your reward. The 2 best locations for medical supplies are the testing annex on Dam Battlegrounds and Hospital on Buried City. Chances are that even if you have none of the items stashed, you'll be able to loot all you need in one go in those two locations except for Great Moulin. Moulin is not far away though. On them, it can be collected in the forest directly adjacent to the testing annex, or in the bigger forest stretching from the swamp to Hydroponic Dome. On Buried City, you can find tons of Moulin in the Galleria next to the hospital. You can also just craft or trade for the needed items. Great Moulin and syringes are sold by Celeste for seeds. Durable cloth and antiseptic can be crafted in the refiner. Once you have everything, hand over the items to Lance in exchange for a bunch of healing items. The Dormant Barons quest requires you to loot a Baron Husk. There are currently 3 of these on the dam, 3 in the spaceport and 1 in the Blue Gate, so you can complete the quest on any of these maps. Opening a Baron is quite a spectacular enterprise since it will explode pretty violently once you breach the lid on its top. It's best to roll off the Baron as soon as the breach is complete to avoid taking serious fire damage. Be aware that about half of the map will hear and see you opening the Baron, so you may attract some unwanted attention. If the Baron has already been breached by someone else, you can still search it and it will count for the quest completion. You can determine whether the Baron is intact by the humming sound clearly audible as you approach the husk. If it has been searched, there won't be any humming. The loot pool for the Baron Husk is quite disappointing though, and looting it is generally not worth the hassle outside of this quest. Once you've searched the Baron, hand over the quest to Shani and get your reward. The medical merchandise quest's objectives are spread over 3 maps, so you'll need a few runs to complete it. Let's start with the spaceport objective, where you need to loot 2 containers in the exam room of the departure building. The medical exam rooms are on the middle floor of the departure building, along the northern wall. You can easily recognize them since they are filled with medical equipment and gurneys, and there are signs outside of them. Open any 2 containers in there and the objective is complete. For the Dam Battlegrounds objective, you'll need to find a medical room in the research and admin building. To do this, go upstairs, either using outer staircase or via the zipline in the main hall. Then proceed to the western wall and you'll find the medroom in the corner, past the 2 toilets and next to the Lab 1 room. Annoyingly, in most of the runs I did, only 1 lootable container has spawned in this room, so you may have to do 2 runs on the dam to complete this objective. For the last objective, you'll need to search 3 containers in the hospital on Buried City. This should be pretty easy since the hospital is full of lootable stuff, so simply get in and search anything. Your only worry here is other raiders, since the hospital is a pretty popular looting spot, so keep your eyes peeled. Once you've completed all 3 objectives, hand the quest over to Lance for 3 defibs, 2 Vita shots and a banana charm for your backpack. What We Left Behind quest requires you to visit 3 specific raider outposts on 3 different maps, and some of them are not obvious to find. On Dam Battlegrounds, you'll need to visit the South Swamp outpost and look for anything significant there. This is the easiest of the objectives since the outpost is clearly marked on the map. Once you reach the Swamp outpost, proceed into the main building and you should see the quest objective on a small stand along the wall in the round room. Search it to complete the objective. On Buried City, you need to search 2 containers in the camp hidden under the parking garage. In order to get inside, you'll need to breach the barricaded door in the southern corner of level 1 and then use a zipline to descend into the camp. A car directly in front of the door has an active alarm on it, so try to be careful and not set it off. You can also get into the camp from outside using a portable zipline or a snap hook, but that feels like a bit of an overkill for this mission. Once down in the camp, just search any 2 containers and the objective is complete. For the last objective, you'll need to find Bilgun's hideout on the spaceport map. Luckily, that's not hard to do, since it's attached directly to the wall adjacent to the container storage building. Use a ladder to get up to the hideout and then look for the interact prompt along the left wall just by the cargo trolley. Collect the notes and head over to Speranza to claim a bunch of weapons attachments from Tian Wen as your reward. The Mixed Signal quest requires you to kill a surveyor and obtain its vault. Surveyors are the big, round-shaped arcs that roll around the map and collect data. The easiest way to find one is to look for a bright blue laser beam in the skies. That's the surveyor communicating with something at the orbit. They may be a bit hard to find at times. I had streaks of like 10 rounds where I didn't see any, and then I see them every single time, so just be patient and you'll find one. Despite being mostly docile, Surveyor is not exactly an easy kill, mostly due to its heavy armor and high mobility. Heavy ammo weapons are highly recommended for this task, since killing it with mediums takes ridiculous amount of ammo and time, and I didn't even try to do it with light ammo. Grenades come extremely handy in taking down a surveyor too. You can either use a showstopper grenade and then unload it while it's stunned, or use an explosive like snap blast or trigger nade, and then finish the work off with your gun. If attempted in a squad, you may go for a single showstopper and then either shoot the hell out of it or even just melee it while it's stunned with your radar tools. If the surveyor is running away, it's often best to let it go and calm down rather than continuously chase it. Just wait for its beam to show you exactly where it stopped and go for a kill. Once you kill the surveyor, make sure to loot all of its parts, including any pieces of armor that dropped while you were chasing it. Each part of the surveyor has a chance to drop a vault, and there can be up to 6 vaults in a single surveyor. They also have a good chance to drop a random blueprint, so you don't want to miss that. Once complete, hand the quest over to Shani for radar hatch key and photoelectric cloak. A reveal in the ruins quest asks you to look for an ESR analyzer inside any pharmacy in the buried city, and then bring it to Lance. There are several pharmacies in the buried city, but the safest and the easiest one in my opinion is located on the ground floor of the Galleria. The building itself doesn't have any great loot, so it's not really interesting to other players. It can also be approached using the outskirts while avoiding any dangerous arc, and is overall an extremely good location to complete this quest. As an added bonus, there's a ton of great mulane in the Galleria, so you can replenish your healing item supplies or complete the trial. All you need to do for the quest is approach a cashier machine and you'll see an interact prompt. Once you interact with it, pick up the item that drops, and after you exfil with it, the mission is complete. If for some reason you do not like the Galleria, there's another obvious pharmacy that seems quite popular, on the Piazza Arbusto. You will have to breach the front door there to gain entrance, and its immediate surroundings are the spawn point for bigger arcs, the Leapers, Bastions and the Bombardiers. But if you really want to go there, be my guest, the steps to complete the quest are identical in Arbusto. Once you exfil the ESR analyzer, hand it over to Lance in exchange for a purple tactical augment and a blue shield recharger. Once you unlock the Blue Gate map, a first foothold quest becomes available to you with 4 objectives that will make you move through the outskirts. Depending on where you spawn, the order in which you do the objectives may vary, but the steps themselves are the same. My first task was to stabilize the observation deck near the ridgeline. Proceed to this location on the eastern side of the map and you'll see a small deck with the interact prompt. Do the fixes to complete the objective and move on to the next. The terminal near the olive groves is further westward from the map marker, again on the very edge of the map. You can follow the asphalt road that runs from olive groves parallel to the collapsed highway to find a platform with a communication terminal that needs to be fixed. Trapper's Glade is located between the Raider Refuge and Adorned Wreckage, and you'll be looking for a small bunker-like structure almost directly under the map marker for the glade. Once you found it, hop onto the roof and nail down some plates as if it's gonna help the failed attempt at architecture. The last location is a church all the way on the ridge above the data vault. You'll need to climb up the scaffolding to make your way onto the roof and rotate the satellite dishes so that local grandmas can resume watching their favorite shows. Having completed the run around the map, return back to Speranza to claim a good selection of grenades from Apollo. The Broken Monument quest takes you on a scavenging journey in the scrapyard on them battlegrounds. You'll need to find and retrieve 3 items here and then extract with them. The items can be taken in any order. I'm showing the path when coming from southwestern direction, but you can obviously choose your own. The first item, the first wave compass, is found in a crate between broken fuel trucks. Search the crate with a yellow interact prompt and make sure to pick up the item. The next, the first wave tape, is located just down the path in the northeast direction, between two more fuel trucks and by the cylinder-shaped object. To find the first wave rations, follow further in the northeast direction until you see a fuel depot-like structure but with orange rag on top of it. The crate is inside, along the wall between two sets of shelves. Once you have all three items, successfully extract with them to claim an arpeggio, a compensator for it and some ammo from Tien Wen. A lay of the land quest will make you run around the spaceport map quite a bit. Your first objective is to find shipping notes in the foreman's office of Jiangsu warehouse. The warehouse is located at the top left corner of the map on the outskirts. You might be lucky to spawn right next to it, but you may also spawn on the opposite side of the map, depending on RNG. Once you reach the Jiangsu warehouse, go inside to find the foreman's office on the second level along the northwestern wall. The notes you are looking for are on the table in the middle by the observation window overlooking the warehouse. Once you obtain the notes, the next objective asks you to get to the upper floor of the control tower A6. This might be a bit misleading since what's meant here is the control building adjacent to the tower, not the tower itself. So don't panic, you don't need any special keys to get to it. Once you reach the A6 building, find a door marked Flight Control Office and go upstairs until you see another door with the same marking on the wall. The area inside is normally full of smaller arcs like pops and fireballs, but sometimes you'll find raiders there instead, so be careful. What you're looking for here is a small office in the corner along the southern wall. Search the containers inside and pick up the LiDAR scanner. You now need to extract with it to complete the quest. If you fail your extraction, you'll have to start the quest over from Jiangsu warehouse, so you may want to play it safe. Back in Speranza, hand the quest over to Shani for a dam testing annex key, 3 ziplines and 2 smoke grenades. The reduced to Rubble quest continues to walk you around locations on the Blue Gate. Your first objective is to take a photo of the collapsed highway. There are multiple spots from which you can do it, but all of them are concentrated in the same area a bit north of the highway itself. You'll see the interact prompts as soon as you are there. Once the photo is taken, you'll need to get to Broken Earth area. As soon as you enter it from any direction, the next quest step asks you to follow the trail of destruction, ultimately leading you to the husk of an unknown massive arc. Walk up to it to see the interact prompt. As soon as you investigate it, the quest is complete. Once you get back home, you can claim a bunch of deployable items from Shani as your reward. With the Trace quest continues the story of the Blue Gate. In it, you'll need to look for the signs of mysterious party that destroyed gigantic arc machines in the area. Your first task is to reach the Barren Clearing, which is a riverbed littered with arc wreckage stretching along the western end of the map. Once you enter the area, the objective changes to find signs of who brought down the arc machines. To do that, you'll need to approach a piece of wreckage with what looks like an antenna installed on it, immediately south from the Barren husk. Walk around the wreck and you'll see a round-shaped piece with an interact prompt on it. Investigate it to have your objective change into Inspect the Adorned Wreckage. Now this is much easier to find. Not only there's a POI map marker on it, but also the structure itself is very visible and really hard to confuse with anything else. Once you approach the structure, you'll see a small communication terminal next to a wreck by it. Interact with it to complete the quest. Once back in Speranza, claim your blue looter augment and medium shield from Shani. The straight record quest requires you to disable the EMP trap that's been misused by raiders against each other. The first step in the quest is finding the EMP device. Luckily, that's not too hard, since it sits in the open between the Ruby residence and the power generation complex, directly north from Hydroponic Dome, and looks like a mix of antenna and a light bulb. Walk over to it and interact with the prompt to investigate the device. Now you need to disable 3 power switches that feed it before you can disable the device itself. The first switch can be found on a small hill directly north, about 40 meters from the trap. Run to it and interact to turn it off. The second switch is located in the small ruins directly east from the EMP trap. You'll need to boost yourself to the second level using the generator next to a wall, then jump across to the second part of the ruins and you'll find the power switch right there. The last switch is directly south from the EMP trap, opposite from the first one. You should see an electric pole about 30 meters south from the trap. Run to it and follow the wire on the ground and you'll immediately see the last switch. Turn it off and then return back to the trap to disable it for good and complete the quest. Once back in Speranza, hand the quest over for some crafting components. The Eyes in the Sky quest requires you to set up LiDAR scanners you got from the Lay of the Land mission on 3 different maps. Upon accepting the quest, you receive one portable zipline and you'll have to use it to complete one of the stages. But let's start with the easy stuff. On Dem Battlegrounds, you'll need to get to the top of the control tower in Research and Admin building. The way up top is the infamous 2 ziplines in the tower shaft that lead to the dam control loot room. You can enter the shaft by breaching the doors at the bottom of the dam or from the main Research and Admin lobby. There are usually 2 turrets in the shaft and a bunch of pops and fireballs upstairs, not mentioning all the players coming into this high loot area, so exercise caution. Once you pass the dam control room, proceed further up the stairs and breach the door leading to the roof. There are more rolling enemies on the roof too, so clear them out. You'll find the pedestal for the LiDAR installation in the northeast corner of the roof, the one pointed towards the Red Lake. On the spaceport map, you'll need to make your way to the communications tower on the east. The tower is really high, but you don't need to go all the way up. Instead, find a ladder on its side that leads up to a platform, and the pedestal for your LiDAR is going to be on your right. In the buried city, you'll need to set up your last LiDAR at the top of Galleria's sign, and this is the one where you need a portable zipline. First, you'll need to get on the Galleria roof, which is easily done from the inside. Once you make it all the way up and jump over a small gap towards the sign, you'll see there's a platform at the sign's top with a small part of it missing. Aim your zipline so it lands on the edge of the gap, that way you won't bounce off the railings and fall down. Just to be on the safe side, spam your jump button when you disengage from the zip, that way you can catch a ledge if you need one. Once you made it up to the platform, you'll see the scanner pedestal facing north. Once all 3 LiDARs are in place, hand the quest over to Shani for some tagging grenades, light sticks and a Vita spray. Keeping the memory quest makes you pay tribute to comrades fallen in the first wave. As the first objective, you need to go to the wreckage area on Dem battlefields, specifically to the large unlootable Baron husk right where the POI marker is. Once you arrive there, look for the lonely bush in front of the husk. It will have a search for helmet interact prompt on it. Do the search and you'll see a helmet dropping on the ground. Pick up the helmet and carry it over to place it on the pole immediately to your right if facing the husk. That's the quest done. Go grab some crafting materials from Celeste as a reward. The Echoes of Victory Reach quest requires you to retrieve old battle plans from the hideout under the broken highway. The location you need is on the Dem Battlegrounds map under a broken off section of the highway between the Ruby residence and power generation. As you approach the location, you'll see the quest chest with an interact prompt on it. Search the chest and pick up the Mage's Iva patch for Celeste. All you need to do now is to extract with the patch and claim some crafting materials as your reward. The Marked for Death quest gets you involved into Smuggler's Beef in Buried City. Your first task here is to reach the Sudurante warehouse up on the northern outskirts of the city. Once you're there, you'll need to find Tien Wen's cache nearby. The cache is just a metal box with rags on it standing outside along the western wall. Investigate the box and then follow the foot tracks in the sand into the vegetation nearby. You'll notice the interact prompt on a piece of metal junk almost immediately upon entering the bushes. Investigate that and return back to Speranza to complete the quest and claim a shotgun choke and an angled grip as your reward. The Market Correction quest continues the story of competing smugglers and sends you back to Buried City. Your first task here is to locate the cache near Marana Station. The secret cache this time is a pair of trash bins behind the ticket booth, carefully marked with red cloth to make them less suspicious. Interact with the cache once to confirm that it's indeed a center of smuggling operation, then interact again to sabotage it with what looks like a light grenade. Once done, return back to Tianwen to get a bunch of attachments, including a Stage 2 silencer, extended light mag, and a compensator. The Eyes on the Prize quest continues Tianwen's branch, and this time you need to power up the surveillance post in Buried City. The location you need is a terrace covered with a blue tarp in the northern part of the map. In order to restore power, you'll need to have 3 wires on you. You can either bring them with you or loot them during the round. If you choose to loot them in place, I'd probably suggest going into Grandiosa apartments nearby, since they have lots of lootable containers with high chances for things like toasters, humidifiers, portable TVs and so on. Basically all the stuff that can be easily recycled into wires, as well as wires themselves. Once you have the 3 wires on you, interact with the generator to rewire it and then return to Tianwen to claim 2 Stage 2 mags, one for shotguns and one for medium ammo. The Industrial Espionage quest continues the Smuggler's saga in Buried City. This time you're given a burletta that needs to be planted into the rival's weapons cache. The cache in question is located by the fuel truck on the gas station directly north from the hospital, and it's yet another metal crate decorated with rags. In order to interact with the cache, you need to have burletta on you. If you manage to lose one that's been provided to you for the quest, don't worry, any burletta will do. You can actually buy up to 3 of them per day from Tianwen herself. Plant the burletta into the cache, then interact again to place a bug on it, and your quest is complete. Upon returning to Tianwen, you get a burletta blueprint, as well as 3 each of mechanical components and simple gun parts. The Unexpected Initiative quest becomes available once you've completed both the Industrial Espionage and the Echoes of Victory Reach quest. Here you are back to Buried City, but this time on a farming business. First you'll need to get on top of the Grandiosa apartment B2 building, the higher one of the two. There, look for a bucket standing by the cage structure. Interact with the bucket so it drops some fertilizer and make sure to pick it up. You'll need to exfil with the fertilizer to complete the quest. Next, you'll need to get onto the Piazza Roma apartment buildings that are just over to the north. This time it doesn't matter which building you go to, since both have what you need. If you happen to have a portable zipline with you, you can just traverse across directly from the Grandiosa. Once on top of these buildings, look for any of the broken greenhouses. Each will have several interact prompts for you to salvage a water pump from. Make sure to pick up the water pump and successfully exfil with it and the fertilizer collected earlier. In exchange for these 2 items, Tianwen gives you an Il Toro shotgun, a choke and some ammo for it. The Symbol of Unification quest sends you on morale boosting mission on Dam Battlegrounds. Your first task is to reach the Formicae outpost, which is located on the southern end of the map, overlooking the scrapyard area. Once you reach the outpost building, enter its elongated hall part and look for a backpack on the medical cot along the wall. Interact with it to retrieve an old radar flag. Now proceed into the main circular hall of the building and walk out on the small platform directly opposite from the hall where you found the flag. You'll see a flag post to your left. Interact with it to hoist the flag and complete the mission. Return back to Celeste to receive a cosmetic item and some crafting components as a reward. The Celeste's Journal quest will make you run quite a bit on the Dam Battlegrounds. Your task here is not very complicated, you simply need to pick up 2 journals from 2 different raider camps and bring them back to Celeste. The only problem is that outposts are on the opposite sides of the map and you have to complete the whole thing in 1 round. So, depending where you spawn, go to either South Swamp Outpost all the way on the western edge of the map or to Raider Outpost East on the northeast above the power generation. In both cases, the journals are located at the same place, on a cot along the right wall of the hall room if coming from the main circular structure. Make sure to pick up the journal after interaction with the quest prompt, since you need to exfil with it. The second location will be around 1100 meters away, so make sure you have sufficient time to get there and then make it to the exfil before round ends. Once you have both journals, bring them back to Celeste and kindly ask her not to lose them again, or at least do it closer to each other. Your reward is worth it though: 3 heavy gun parts, a magnetic accelerator and an Exodus module. The Mage's Footlocker quest is both very simple and very important. The task at hand is to find Major Iva's mementos in the residential apartments on the dam. To do this, you'll need to travel to Ruby residence and visit the westmost house. Go up to the 3rd floor and into the last room, and you'll find a quest chest on the table by the window. Interact with the chest and pick up the object that drops out of it. Extract with it to complete the quest. The reward for it is exactly the reason why it's important, since you receive a Hullcracker blueprint. The icon on the quest screen weirdly looks like ammo only, but consuming the blueprint unlocks both the weapon and ammo. And Hullcracker is, even after being mildly nerfed, an ultimate arc murder machine, so it's well worth completing this quest. Out of the Shadows quest requires you to kill the almighty Rocketeer and obtain its driver. Now, there are many ways to fight the Rocketeer, but since I'm all for easy methods, the Wolfpack grenade is my choice. A well-thrown Wolfie takes a Rocky down in one hit, and even if some of the charges are wasted on smaller arcs around, the damage it does leaves the Rocketeer in near-dead state. Despite of how easy this kill is, I still highly suggest exercising at least some caution. Rocketeer attacks, as you most surely know, are devastating and can get you down in 2 hits, so you normally want to have a building or a solid cover really close by before engaging the Rocketeer. It's also highly advisable to have a heavy ammo weapon with you just in case your Wolfpack doesn't finish the job. If for some reason you really don't want to deal with Wolfpacks, that's okay. An adjacent quest for Mage's Footlocker unlocks the crafting of Hullcracker, which works amazingly against Rocky and other big arc. You can also stun the Rocketeer with a showstopper grenade, and then plant a deadline mine on it for a one-shot kill. And so on, there's plenty of ways, but Wolfpacks are by far the safest and the easiest. Once you get your kill, loot the wreckage to get yourself a driver. It is, however, not unheard of to get third party just when you've done all the hard work. If you need an extra Rocky driver and really don't feel like killing it again, wait for the Husk Graveyard event on any of the maps and loot Rocketeer husks. During this event, many of them contain undamaged drivers which come handy for many purposes, like upgrading stuff or just selling for cash. Your reward for the quest is ironically 2 Wolfpacks and 3 blue shield recharges. They really should have swapped the rewards and granted items around on this one. After Rain Comes quest sends you on another repair mission in the Buried City. You need to fix flooded solar panels by the puddle that's proudly called a pond, right next to the Grandiosa apartments. You'll need to have 5 wires and 2 batteries with you to perform the repairs. As usual, you can either bring them with you or loot them in place. For wires, the Grandiosa itself is a good hit, but batteries are not very common in residential, so I salvaged mine from cracked bioscanners, which are easily found in the research and hospital buildings. Back in Speranza, hand the quest over to Celeste for some minor rewards. The Back on Top quest unlocks once you've completed Celeste's journals and Eyes in the Skies quests, and will take some time to complete since its tasks are spread over 4 different maps. This can be done in any order you like. On them battlegrounds, you need to put a graffiti on a wall of Patton House. For most parts of this quest, there are multiple interact points that can be used, so just approach the house and walk up to it and you'll see a quest prompt on a wall. If you don't see one, try to walk along the wall a bit and it will pop. Interact with the prompt to place a spray paint on the wall and move on to the next. On Blue Gate, look for a small tower-like structure southwest from the warehouse complex. When pinged in game, the tower is marked as ventilation shaft. You'll see the interact prompts on the side wall. In the spaceport, your path lies to the south trench tower. Again, just walk up to any wall at its base and you'll see the interact to paint it. On Buried City, you need to find a storage-looking building at the east side of the map, just south of Galleria. You'll need to paint a metal roll gate on it to complete the task. Back home, claim a renegade with tier 3 stock and some ammo from Tien Wen for your work. A Balanced Harvest quest sends you into the research and admin building to find some research. The location you need to find is a Lab 1 room. To get there, you'll need to go upstairs in the main building using either a zip line in the hall or from the staircase outside of the southern corner of the building. The Lab 1 is located along the northwestern wall of the building, and the notes you need are in the smaller of the two Lab 1 rooms. Be aware that the building is a high loot area, and as such it is often contested by other players. Once you've interacted with the research nodes, your quest is complete, and you can claim crafting materials from Celeste for it. The Untended Garden quest continues the agricultural research line from Celeste. This time you need to visit the hydroponic dome in search for more research data. It seems like there are multiple computer racks that can be interacted with to get the quest done in different domes, but I have always done it in the westmost dome since it's also the one with most loot and multiple entrances. Once you've downloaded the research archive, you need to upload the data in any field depot, and that's another reason I prefer this specific dome here. If you use the northern exit from it, you'll notice there is a field depot literally 5 meters away from it. Run up to the terminal on the desk in the depot and interact with it to complete the upload and finish the quest. Back in Speranza, Celeste shows her gratitude with more crafting materials for you. The Root of the Matter quest finishes the agricultural stint and takes you into the Buried City. This time you need to find a room with a great view in the research building. Despite a pretty vague description, the room is really easy to find. It's a park-facing room on the middle floor of the building. The easiest way to get there is by using any of the two zip lines inside the building, since both of them converge on the floor you need. From the zip line, go into the corridor and then into the first room on your right to find a large cryogenic container that can be interacted with. Do so and make sure to pick up the experimental seeds that drop from the container. Once you bring the seeds back to Speranza, Celeste exchanges them for a backpack charm and 1,000 coins. Our presence up there quest puts us back in electrician shoes and sends us over to the pattern house. Make your way to the pattern house and go to the electrical room immediately left of the stairs on the ground floor. Flip the power switch by interacting with the quest prompt. Then go all the way up to the roof and approach the southern edge of it. You'll see a satellite dish there with a terminal right next to it. Interact with the terminal to complete the antenna setup and finish the quest. Back in Speranza, you get a Buried City Town Hall key, a Hatch Radar key and 3 Jolt Mines from Shani. The Lost in Transmission quest sends you into the spaceport's A6 control tower and you are provided with a key for it. Before loading into the spaceport, I highly suggest placing the key in your safe pocket. The A6 area is highly contested and you can expect some level of PvP there. The locked door to the control tower is at its bottom and can be approached from both north and south. Before you use the key to unlock either of the doors, it makes sense to run around and check whether both are locked. You don't want to waste a key if the location is already unlocked, especially if someone is still up there. Once up top, look for the terminal with the interact prompt facing southwest towards the fuel lines. Interacting with it completes the quest. Note that if you lose a key, you still have options to complete the quest. It is possible to zipline into the tower's building from the adjacent roof, though these seem to be getting patched quite regularly, so it's not a 100% reliable way. Alternatively, you can often see the door being unlocked by someone else if you visit it closer to the end of the round, so you are never really fully locked out of the quest. Back home, Shani rewards you with a snap hook for your work. The Communication Hideout quest continues Shani's comms line and brings you over to the Buried City. Head over to the Eastern Station metro entrance by the Red Tower and you'll see a generator with a red light on it. Look northeast from it to see an old newspapers kiosk. Right by it is a quest chest that you need to search. Take the battery cell that drops from it, carry it over to the generator and install it in. Then pull a lever on the generator side to enable the power flow to communication equipment. Now climb up to the roof of the building directly west from the generator to find an antenna terminal and activate it. That's your quest done. You can now return to Shani to grab your tier 3 anvil, some ammo and a cosmetic. Into the Fray quest's task is straightforward. Kill a leaper and get its pulse unit. Taking on the bigger arc solo can be somewhat intimidating, but of them all, the leaper is probably the easiest to beat. First of all, similarly to the Rocketeer, you can use a Wolfpack grenade to one-shot or very nearly kill the leaper. But leaper is easier than Rocky and you can do it without expensive Wolfpacks. All large arcs are vulnerable to explosives and fire, so stock up on grenades. Trigger nades, blaze nades and anything else that explodes is good. Find yourself a leaper that you want to take on and choose a battleground with some building to protect you from its jumps. My two favorite leapers to kill are on the damn battlegrounds. One that likes to hang around the water treatment exfil and one strolling the Red Lake. Get close to your cover and aggro the leaper. Since they can jump insane distances, stay close to your cover and make sure to hide in it when the leaper is taking its lunge at you. The rest is really just a technicality. Peek out of the cover, throw a grenade, hide back, repeat. It's best to have heavy ammo weapon with you, just in case you run out of explosives and need to finish the job with bullets. One warning though, when in your cover, do not be stationary. Basically you want the leaper to always think it can reach you, so move around leading it to you. The reason for it is the leaper will try to get a stationary target with its charged explosion attack, which hits through the walls and hits really hard. So keep moving, picking from one exit or another and keep damaging the bastard till it's dead. At some point it may seem the leaper is running away, don't fall for it. That's a desperate lure move, trying to make you leave your cover. Once you get your kill and loot the pulse unit, hand the quest over to Shani for a pair of cosmetics and an awesome Vulcana shotgun with some ammo for it. The Water Troubles quest sets you on a path to resolving Speranza's water quality issues. Naturally, you are on your way to the damn battlegrounds. You first need to find a flood access tunnel under the Red Lake balcony, which is at the base of the dam wall directly below Research and Admin building. Walk through a huge pipe-like tunnel and at its end you'll see a hose sticking out of the grate on the left at the far end of the room. This is the intake for district's water supply, which doesn't look particularly healthy. Interact with the prompt to take a water sample, though one doesn't need to be an ecologist to realize this water is not safe to drink. Return back to Celeste to report your findings and receive some crafting components in exchange. The Source of Contamination quest continues the water line with Celeste. You are back to the damn battleground and you need to reach the water treatment building. You don't need to go inside though, instead go to the northern part of the building, the one facing the forest. The flood spill you need is the pool-like area full of dirty water with a suspicious looking barrel stuck in its middle. Walk up to the barrel to investigate and confirm that it is indeed a bad idea to have a weird leaking barrel sitting inside your water supply. Mutant Ninja Turtles can attest to that. Back home, exchange your revelations for another set of crafting materials. The Switch in Supply quest finishes the Water Troubles line and sends you over to the spaceport. Here you need to descend into tunnels and find a valve that regulates the water flow. The valve is dead in the middle of the tunnels and you can either make your way through the tunnels themselves, getting in via any of the entrances, or just go directly to the valve from a surface through a conveniently collapsed tunnel roof. As soon as you turn the valve, the quest is complete and you can claim a spaceport warehouse key, some synthetic fuel and a cosmetic item from Celeste. A Warm Place to Rest is a set quest that takes place in the Buried City. First, you need to get to the abandoned highway camp. It is located on the highway, immediately south from the Grandioso apartments. You can get up to the camp using a zipline on the Grandioso side or from the roofs of buildings adjacent to the highway itself. Once in the camp, look for the blue backpack by the bus wreckage and interact with it to complete your current objective. Notice a wood stake with a piece of red fabric on it next to the backpack. You'll see the same markers placed on cars and other objects in the north direction on the highway. These are the markers you need to follow and they will lead you to your next objective. You can, however, go directly to the destination in the buried properties since there are no interacts on the way. The final marker leads you to a grave in the corner of the building ruins. And it's a very small grave, so yeah, there are no good news here for Apollo. Return home and hand the quest over for a few minor rewards. The prescription of the past quest brings you back into the exam rooms of the departure building in Spaceport. The exam rooms, that you may remember by the medical merchandise quest, are located on the middle floor of the departure building, along the northeastern wall. The medical records you are looking for are in the exam room 2 on the reception table. Once you collect them, the quest is complete and you can hand it back to Lance in exchange for purple tactical augment, a heavy shield and 3 adrenaline shots. The Power Out quest sends you to another search mission, this time in the spaceport. You first need to make your way to the electrical substation all the way south on the map, below the staff parking. Walk along the middle section of the substation and you'll see a quest chest on the ground. Interact with it to complete the Find Signs of the Missing Engineer step. This will also drop a battery cell, which for whatever reason is called a fuse in the quest. You can carry this battery to the distribution panel just opposite and to the right of the chest. Install it into the slot that opens and interact with the switch next to it to restore the power and complete the quest. Hand the quest over to Celeste for a bunch of crafting materials and a cosmetic. In the Flickering Threat quest, you need to repair a large generator by the dam. Make your way to the generator hall of the power generation complex on the northeast side of the map. The hall is accessible from multiple directions and you can even just drop down into it through the holes in the ceiling, just south of the exfil lift. Go into the center of the room and you'll see an interact prompt on one of the generators. You need 4 wires to fix it, but those are generally very easy to find around the same location since there's a ton of electricity related containers and even loose loot. But you can also bring them with you if you wish so. Once you finish the repairs, you need to get to the bottom of the ventilation shaft, which is just nearby, immediately east of the exfil point. Walk up to the distribution panel with a white light on it and interact to enable the power supply. Your quest is now complete and you can get a helmet cosmetic variant as well as some advanced crafting components from Celeste for it. The Bees quest takes you to the Blue Gate in search of, well, bees of course. Once in the Blue Gate, make your way to the Olive Grove area of the map. There are at least 3 different shacks here with beehives and you can use any that you like. Approach the shack of your choice and you'll see an interact prompt on the hive with some bees buzzing around. Collect the bees and return back to Celeste to receive an advanced electrical component and 3 sensors. The Espresso quest sends you over to Buried City in a hunt for coffee machine parts. Just like in many other quests, there are multiple locations where you can get what you need. I usually go to the Trattoria in Marano Park, across from the research. But there is also a cafe with an espresso machine on Piazza Rossa, another machine across from Grandioso, and I'm sure there are more. I'm also about 90% sure that the quest can be done on other maps too, since I've seen an espresso machine in Ruby Apartments on the dam and in other places, so you can as well try that. Once you interacted with the machine, don't forget to pick up the parts and then you can claim a coffee pot and some adrenaline shots from Apollo back home. The Life of the Pharmacist quest sends you back to the Buried City to document the life of a fellow apothecary. First you'll need to find an Arbusto pharmacy on Piazza Arbusto, right next to the collapsed highway. Once inside, use the stairs behind the counter to go to the first floor to document 4 aspects of the pharmacist's life. Directly opposite of the stairs you'll see photos on the wall. Interact with them to find out about the family. Along the western wall in the same room is a piano. Interact with it to document the skills. Walk into the next room and immediately on your left is a drawer with flower pots on it. Use that to document the hobbies. Then go to the table under the stairs to document the tastes of the pharmacist. And that's it, all is done here. Share your knowledge with Lance to receive a defib, 3 sterilized bandages and a Surge shield recharger. The Tribute to Toledo quest requires you to get a power rod for Celeste. If you happen to have one in your inventory already, you can just claim the quest right away and move on. If you do not, there are a few ways to get one pretty easily. First, if your refiner is upgraded to level 3, you can simply craft one using 2 arc circuits and 2 advanced electrical components. Alternatively, you can loot one on the map. By far the best location to find one is a pair of rooms on the east end of Power Generation Complex on damp battlefields, where the door that needs a power rod to open it is. There are 4 electrical cabinets in this pair of rooms, and each has increased chances of dropping a power rod. It is not a guaranteed spawn, but it is as close to it as it gets in this game. Out of all the raids where I reached these rooms before they got looted by somebody else, I found a power rod more than half the time. Outside of this spawn, power rods have increased drop chances behind locked doors in electrical loot locations, like the rooms requiring the dam testing annex key, for example. Regardless how you acquire the rod, hand it over to Celeste to receive some crafting components. Digging Up Dirt quest sends you looking for compromising materials in Buried City. Your task is to find a courtyard inside Santa Maria houses. While the houses themselves are clearly marked on the map, the courtyard is not easily accessible from outside. Instead, you need to use one of the 2 roof hatches to descend into the central house. There's usually a couple of pops or fireballs and some ticks inside, so be ready to clear the area. Walk through a broken wall and you'll see the inner courtyard. The dead drop is inside the fountain at its center. Interact with it to complete the quest. Celeste will reward you with 2 advanced electrical components and 2 speakers for your work. The Turnabout quest finishes the line about a beef with tube management and sends you to the spaceport. You receive a spaceport trench tower key, which you need to open your destination. I recommend putting it in your safe pocket, just in case. You need to travel to the North Trench Tower. Make sure you're going into correct one, since the key is the same for both towers, and it only has single use. Once you enter the tower, you'll be met with several pops and fireballs that you'll have to deal with. Once that is done, proceed upstairs to find the terminal for your quest. Interact with it to complete the upload of blackmail files and finish the quest. Back home, Celeste rewards you with 2 heavy and 2 medium gun parts. Building a library quest reminds you that the culture is worth risking your life for. Head over to Buried City and make your way to the library. The area you need is the main hall, the one with the sunroof. You now need to find 3 books here. One is located on the ground floor before the eastern set of stairs. You'll notice an interact prompt on one of the small bookshelves. Make sure to pick up the book as well. You need to extract all 3. Now get to the western staircase and use it to get up a floor. The bookshelf will be right in front of the stairs. From here, follow a wall on your left towards eastern stairs and you'll find your bookshelf between 2 larger shelves. Again, interact and pick up a detective book. With all 3 books, return back to Apollo to receive a bunch of explosives as a reward. A new type of plant sends you back to damn battlegrounds on a simple botanical mission. Apparently, there's a mutant plant being noticed around the Old Baron. Head over to the Baron husk right next to the Old Battleground map marker. You'll notice the plant you need all around the husk. You only need to collect one, so approach the plant you like the most and interact with it. Collect the sample as you need to bring it back to Lance. Your reward this time is a Vita Shot and 5 antiseptics. The Armored Transport quest unlocks after you have completed a new type of plant and with the Trace quests. Your path this time lies over to the Blue Gate and its checkpoint area. You need to search guard huts here for a key to the armored truck. The guard huts are the small booths in the middle of the checkpoint, and at least 2 of them contain a pile of papers that can be searched for a key. If you count from north, then it's the 1st and the 5th booth. Don't forget to pick up the key once you search the papers. Now you need to make your way to the armored truck parked behind the security station along the southern wall of the checkpoint tunnel entrance. This area is usually crawling with arc, including a bastion or a bombardier right in the middle, and occasionally a rocketeer flying above, so you may want to be a bit sneaky around here. When you see that the coast is clear, run up to the back door of the truck and interact with the lock on its left side. The door opens, completing the quest and revealing a weapons case inside. You can now return back to Tianwen and hand the quest over for 3 defibs, 3 smokes and a minor cosmetic. The first quest on Stellar Montis requires you to find and search 3 androids on that map. There are a lot of dead androids spread around Stellar, but not all of them are searchable, so you'll need to look for the ones that have a search interact on them. Good news is they don't seem to be randomized each round, so once you found one, you can actually return back to it next round until you complete the quest. But it's always better to just do it in one go, so the best location to complete this fast is the Cultural Archives area, since it has at least 5 searchable androids in it. There's also at least one in the seed vault directly below it, but it relies on you opening the locked door using the power cell. One can also be found in the control room between 2 sandboxes and at least one more on the sandboxes level as you go towards the loading bay. I'm sure there are many more androids spread around the map, but this set should be sufficient for you to easily complete the quest. Come back to Lance to get a blue looting augment and a bunch of light sticks. The cold storage quest sends you back to Stellar Montis to look for lost relics. To complete the quest, you need to find and search a JKV container. One of these is conveniently located in the lobby right by the exfil, and I expect most people would go right there. The only issue with this container is that the whole lobby seems to be the favorite spot of every exfil camper in the game, and there's usually quite a bit of a fighting going on here. Alternatively, you can go into the loading docks area and parkour your way to the southern end of the cargo dock A and find a lonely JKV container there. There are more of these containers on the map, so just keep an eye on the JKV letters when you play. Regardless which container you choose, interact with the container and pick up old world books that fall off it. Bring the books to Shani and receive 3 gas mines and the Raider hatch key. The Snap and Salvage quest finishes the introduction into Stellar Montis map. 2 of the quest objectives require you to visit specific locations and can be done in any order depending on where you spawn. First of them is a security checkpoint at the upper section of the map. Get into the lobby area, go to its bottom floor and find a set of metal detector gates and X-ray scan running belts. Facing east from there is a security station. Inside of it, you'll find the quest papers on a horseshoe-shaped table. The next objective is to take a photo of a rover in Robotic Sandbox. 2 sandboxes are located at the lower section of the map and either of them will do. Both sandboxes are full of pops, fireballs, turrets and occasional shredders, so don't just mindlessly run in. Once you clear the hostilities, walk up to a rover in the center and interact with the prompt to take a photo. This is the fixed part of the quest done. The other 2 objectives are not special quest items, rather specific lootables from this map, so this may take multiple runs to complete. Both the Magnetron and the Flow Controller are designated as Exodus items, but despite that, they are not exclusive to Exodus locations, just have higher chances of spawning there. Technically, you should be able to find either or both anywhere on Stellar, but I had the most consistent success rates in the assembly workshops, especially the room overlooking the assembly in the middle. Nonetheless, I have also found a Magnetron in the medical research and a Flow Controller next to a seed vault. And sometimes there are just these wholesome moments when another raider helps you scavenge and finds exactly the things you need. I don't know your name, friend, but I hail you as a hero. I've also seen mentions that these items can be found on a spaceport map, but I personally never seen them there, so I cannot confirm. You will probably need some patience to get this part complete, but once you're done, you can return back to Tianwen to get a Tier 3 Berletta, Tier 2 Silencer, an extended light mag and some ammo as a reward. Hope this was helpful, thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next one.